another meditation mini-series inside the Peace Project. I hope you're well. It is a beautiful day here in Sussex. We've got blue sky, the birds are singing, and it's not raining for once. So good morning, and I hope it is a beautiful day wherever you are, or good day, whatever time of day that you're watching this. So day 2 of the meditation mini-series, and yesterday we talked about what is meditation, and today we're going to talk about why would you be interested in having a meditation practice. So there's some really good reasons why we would actually bother to carve out some time in our day to actually spend some time doing something meditative. Now, there's a lot of research that's gone into meditation, and a lot of the research has just overwhelmingly shown that there are positive benefits to our mental health, our physical health, but also it's the way that we relate to life and the way that we engage in the world. So let's talk about mental health first of all, because that's like kind of the most obvious connection. It's, meditation's all about getting to know your true self and letting go of the chatter of the mind. So what positive benefits can it have on our mental health? So the first thing that meditation is really useful for is actually just helping us realize that we have a mind. Because sometimes we have this incessant chatter going on in our head, and we can become begin to think that's who we are. Particularly as for me, for a long time, that chatter was so incessant and so loud that I just assumed it was who it was, this voice in my head that was constantly judging or giving a running commentary about my life experience, or as I said yesterday, who was constantly trying to fix my situation and solve my problems. And that voice, I just assumed that was my identity. So when we learn meditation, there's a lot of theory that goes on behind learning meditation that helps us to realize that we have a mind, and that mind can chatter away 90 to the dozen, but it's not who we are. And we can actually learn to let go of that chatter and realize there's a huge amount of peace and quiet and stillness that exists beyond that chatter of the mind. So that's the first benefit, is realizing that we have a mind, and it's very useful for doing jobs like booking appointments and reading a map and things like that. So, you do need a mind, but we also need to change our relationship with our mind so it doesn't govern our life. And that's useful when you've got the situation of, maybe you have thoughts that are, very unhelpful. Maybe your inner voice is very judgmental, it's very critical, or maybe it makes you doubting, tells you you can't do things. Well, it's useful to know that that's all it is. It's just your mind, and you don't have to listen to it. Another reason why meditation is really good for mental health is it actually changes the brain. So meditators actually, the structure of the brain changes, particularly with the prefrontal cortex. Now, there's many benefits for this, but actually one of the benefits is that we can start to see with greater clarity. So instead of having like a brain fog going on all the time, when we actually learn to quieten the mind, then actually our true voice, our inner guidance, our inner wisdom can actually come through. Another way that it can change us, the way that we sort of perceive the world and the way that we think, is that it can help us be a lot more rational. Now, we've got masculine qualities and feminine qualities, and they help us in different ways. For example, our feminine side is often very creative and emotional, and our masculine side is often more black and white, and it's more logical. Now, in life, you want to have both. If you're excessively creative and emotional, then you'll find that you're just living in a soap opera. And if you're overly logical and very black and white, then you'll find that your life probably lacks passion and joy, and it just feels a bit flat. So we need a combination of both. And meditation can be really good to help synchronize those elements inside of us. Let's talk about some physical benefits of meditation. There's been a lot of research done into how meditation changes our body. And one of my favorite studies looked at immunity and aging. So they did a study over in America, and they got a bunch of women in for a 6-day retreat. They got a bunch of women in for a 6-day retreat with meditation, and they also surveyed some experienced meditators. And in this survey, they wanted to look at things like gene expression, immunity, and aging, and how meditation impacted this group of women. What they found is that meditation generally had a positive impact on mood and well-being, and for some people, particularly the novice meditators, that impact actually lasted well beyond the retreat itself, and 10 months down the line they were still talking about their depression had reduced. But also what they discovered is that those particularly experienced meditators were particularly good at developing an enzyme called telomerase, easy to say. And telomerase is the enzyme that helps create the caps that sit on the end of our DNA. And they're like a protective cap that sits on the end. Our DNA naturally gets shorter over time. And this telomerase actually helps reduce that shortening. And that shortening is associated with aging. So meditation actually increases the amount of protection that is given to our DNA, which reduces aging, but it also increased immunity. So it's very physical, tangible benefits. Another study has shown that it reduces cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. Elevated levels of cortisol result in illnesses like cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Now, all this to me makes a lot of sense because the mind and the body are connected. So when we are sitting down and actually learning to let go of our thinking mind and just rest back into who we are and just have a peaceful experience of being, this is very restful for the body. And the body is able to heal. And when I say to heal, I mean to make whole. And to make whole for me is to live in, to our full potential, and to live in harmony with ourselves and the environment around us. So another benefit that I love about meditation, and I've seen this personally, is it helps with relationships. Often our biggest struggle in relationships is the chatter that goes on in our mind that gives us a little running commentary of how well we're doing, or oh, it's all going to go wrong again, or people don't love me, or whatever our inner chatter might be. And often this inner chatter has come from our early years and our childhood and our early experiences. If you're in a relationship, and it can be a family relationship, a work relationship, or a romantic relationship, or friendships, then the chances are that you're going to be re-invited to look at your trauma and your stuff that comes up. So being able to just sit back and see that we might have a repeated thought pattern, or a response that when we're triggered, we respond in a particular way in relationships, can be a really useful first step to either exploring that more with a therapist or a coach, or to actually just letting that thought pattern go and realizing that it's not needed and it's not required. So for me, there's so much evidence out there about the benefits of meditation for just holistic health and well-being, and actually just to help us live our lives more fully and in a way that we desire rather than the way that we've been conditioned to live. I think for me, there's overwhelming evidence that it's beneficial. So my invitation to you today is, as you go about your day, I want you to become aware of the chatter in your mind, the little running commentary that is going on for you, that is potentially just describing your day-to-day experience. And I just want you to notice it, because that for me is the first step to realizing sometimes the background chatter that's going on for us. Once you do that, you're beginning to put some space between you and that chatter. And you might be amazed about what kind of scripts you've got running that are actually, you weren't aware of before. I don't want you to do anything with those scripts, and when you notice them, just let them go. But just spend a day just being an observer of the chatter that goes on in your head. And things to look out for is, you know, are you judging life? Are you saying that this is good and this is bad? That's a really good example of when we have left the living experience of life and gone into a mind-based experience of life where we're judging it as good or bad, very polar. Are there things in life that you are resisting, you don't want? You're like, I don't want to have to deal with grumpy people, or I don't like the weather. Is there stuff that you're just trying to push away? Is there aspects of your life that you're very attached to? You're sort of got a little script running saying, I'll be happy when? I'll be happy when, you know, my bank account looks good, or I'm in a relationship, or my boss stops getting at me, or COVID is over. It's a good chance that if you're telling yourself those stories, then you're in some kind of story and some kind of script. Maybe you're talking to yourself and your inner monologue is talking about the past. Maybe it is worried about something that's going to happen in the future. Or maybe you've just got to the point in life where you're trying to micromanage anything and you're trying to control what's going on in your world in order ultimately to experience some kind of peace. So just observe the chatter that goes on in your mind. I would love if you have any big insights or revelations, put it in the comments box below, because this is a great journey for us to all go on together. And just noticing is the first step to helping to let it go. So I hope that's hopeful. I'm wishing you a wonderful day, and we will be back tomorrow. I'm going to have my good friend Josie Truelove with me tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about meditation, and she'll be sharing her experiences. Have a wonderful day. It's been great to spend the morning with you, and we will speak soon.